thank you so much for coming on today. So Aram, for anyone who doesn't know, is the author of Zellij, and we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to maintain an open source application that's being used so widely, and all of his process around that. So Aram, I'll let you describe what Zellij is, as I don't want to butcher it. I might as well let the author speak for that.
So I call Zellij a terminal workspace. For people familiar with Screen or Tmux, it's kind of in that same family. Essentially what it does is, if you're using the terminal, it allows you to open multiple panes in the terminal, multiple tabs, to kind of customize your workspace and configure it and script things around. That's kind of the basics. It's, if I have to sum it up into like just a few sentences.
As a maintainer of a large open source project, so how do you maintain that like workload? How do you manage it?
When I find out, I'll tell you.
I was gonna say, or it's just like coping, just doing your best.
I think it's mostly doing my best, and trying to. What I have forefront in my mind is I want people to feel welcome and heard. I try to, as much as possible, like when people open issues, or definitely when they come on the Discord or the Matrix, to answer questions in a timely manner, or at least give some indication that, like, I heard you, it's okay, I just don't have time to get into this right now. I think that's the most important part. Otherwise, it's like a dance between putting out fires of we had a regression in the latest release, so we have to fix it and like release a version right now, and that like you drop everything and you do it, and developing new features, and managing contributors, and contributors and contributions, and answering questions about the structure of the project, and writing documentation and such. So it's like finding the right balance between everything, and I can't say I'm very good at it, but I'm doing my best. So yeah,
that's fair. I think it's a common sentiment, I think, amongst maintainers, because it's just like, you know, you're also probably, is it your full-time gig?
So or
are you working?
Yeah, I'm working on Zellij full-time.
Nice.
But I just want to mention I am not alone. We are a team.
I wanted to ask that next. Okay, tell me more about your team.
So I have a really, really awesome team. The project originally, like, I'm the only one working on it full time. So the bulk of the work and kind of the like directing the project in a certain way falls to me. But there are 12 maintainers, maybe 13, I don't remember exactly. Most of them are inactive, but all of them have given like significant contributions at one point or another. They're great people both to work with and to bounce ideas off of. We have weekly meetings where we meet and you kind of have a stand-up of like, if you had time this week to work on the project, what did you do, and do you have questions? And so not alone, just wanted to stress that.
Okay, good. So what are the best ways to support you and your team? Do you have like an open collective, or one thing that I learned recently is that, and that this was Christina Warren from GitHub who brought this up, but there's so many technology grants that are available out there, and that's like one of the best ways that people who want to do like non-code contributions can help open source companies, is actually by doing the technical writing for these grants and stuff like that on behalf of the open source project. So just planting that seed and letting you know that exists. If people are asking you, they don't feel like they're up to speed on being able to write the code, but they want to support, you can, you know, plant that seed with them, be like, hey, you good at are you a good technical writer? And start
nice.
writing you grants. But just letting you know that exists. What are the best ways to support you at this moment with Zellij?
Okay, so thanks for letting me know about the grants. I'll it's great. I'll definitely look into that. Maybe ask you for some links later.
Yeah, for sure.
And so support me, like, if it's financially, if you're using the project or love the ideas and it's like it's valuable to you, then I have a GitHub sponsors, and if that's in the cards for you. But financially is definitely not the only way. I think the more people who use Zellij, especially as their daily driver, and open issues about it, talk on Discord, support other users. The more people who do that, the better the tool becomes, like, I think for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were the other platforms that you're active on that you wanted? I can link your GitHub, Discord. What else? Is there anything else?
We're on Matrix too.
Matrix,
Yes.
that's what it was. Yeah. Happy to link all of that stuff in the description. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's all there. You can. And then, was there anything that you struggled with when building this project, or new challenges that you hadn't seen before?
Wow. I think this project is one of the I don't know, but it's definitely on the high scale of the complicated things that I did technology wise. When it's because Zellij does its own terminal emulation. So like whatever you see inside the pane is like getting it from like a blob of ANSI codes into something that you as a human can read is like within our domain. That part is like, terminal technology was developed in the 80s. There's a lot of lore there, and 80s, maybe even 70s. No, don't catch me on that. So
they will.
Okay, good for you.
The internet will correct you. Don't worry. Someone in the comments.
Come to our Discord and contribute code to us.
Go tell them in Discord.
So I guess reverse engineering how this works and learning all these concepts like ANSI codes and scroll regions and like char sets and what have you was very hard, considering the like extremely lacking documentation that is online for these things. And like some things just kind of developed over time. Like what happens, what do you do as a terminal emulator when you get an instruction to move the cursor and it lands in the middle of an emoji? You just kind of figure it out, you know, because the people who like wrote the instruction didn't have emojis back then. So I remember this one time I was talking with my dad. My dad is also a programmer, and he used to work in the 80s on the original VT100s. I was just starting to hack on like Zellij originally, and he asked me what I was up to. So I said, I just spent the last few days like perfecting this line wrapping algorithm and figuring it out, and I finally got it. Then he thought for a moment and said, so did you do it like, and then he proceeds to describe my exact algorithm to me. And that's what I spent the last few days on. And then he goes into this dreamy like tirade of, we were super happy when the PCs came around in the 90s. Like those crazy cats from Redmond, they have this graphical environment where you can like move like stuff with the mouse, and it has colors and pictures and such. You should try it. So also a challenge is like kind of explaining the value of what I do to other people who aren't like terminal fiends like us.
If you don't already love the command line.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because I think like my whole generation of developers is, a lot of them are just big on like the GUIs. And I think so I like throughout school was also kind of always encouraged to use the GUIs. Like when I was learning when I was taking like my databases courses and stuff like that, like everything was through a GUI. We didn't really do any command line like database like queries and stuff like that. It was all just like through these GUIs. And it wasn't until I started challenging myself to like learn NeoVim that I realized how much of a gap it had created in my skill set. Really? Like I didn't even know how to run my code outside of an IDE. No, really? Like if I didn't have that little play button at the top of my at the top of my window, like I didn't know how to run it. And I was like, wow, like how is it that I'm 2 years into my degree and I don't even know how to run my code in the terminal. Like that's ridiculous. Like none of my teachers had ever told me or anything like that. But that was where I was like, okay, this is where I need to focus because it's so powerful. Right. You can automate so much if you're comfortable on in your terminal, right? there's so much you can script and just like customize, and it made development so much more fun for me, because it just became this like environment that I could completely customize and had full control over. And it was like so empowering and exciting to find, oh, okay, like I didn't have any autocomplete or like a linter or a language server or anything like attached to Neovim for like the first 2 or 3 months that I was using it. And it was the most painful thing ever, but it really made me see the value in having a linter or a language server, and made me learn like what those things were and, you know, all of that stuff. So anyway,
so you kind of built
that's me rambling about how much I love the terminal.
You kind of built your own IDE essentially, right?
Basically, with like when it comes down to it with the Neovim config, it's just you start building in that functionality. But it's I'm excited for more developers to start to see the value in the command line, and I think Zellij is a great starting point for that for a lot of people. So I'm excited to also share what we've talked about today.
Cool.
But anyway. Love the terminal.
Cool.
We love terminals.
Yes.
And hopefully it will become less of a challenge for you to have to like describe the value with why you'd want to live in your terminal.
Yeah, exactly.
At this point also, it's like partially laziness, because it's like now I have aliases for everything, and I'm just like, okay, why would I open up a browser to like want to see the documentation? I can just use like the man command, or like I'm already in my terminal. Why do I open up another application?
Yeah, and then you like go to someone else's computer who has this ID, and it's like you don't know, what am I doing? How do I use this thing? And
I know. I've forgotten how to use them now. What has, throughout the lifespan of this project, what has kept you coming back and hacking on it? Because I know some people get burnt out, or they get tired of kind of working on the same thing over and over. Is it because, I won't speculate and answer. I'll let you just answer it.
I think for me, I'm super privileged in that regard, because I'm working on my own tools. This project originally came out because I wanted to improve my tooling, and I use it every day. I develop Zellij with Zellij as I showed in the demo. So whenever I'm like, I really wish I could move this pane to a different tab, and it's like, I gotta do this, or so that keeps me coming back. Ideally, I like to not develop these features directly, but kind of develop an engine that allows these features so people can configure them and do them on their own, because I feel it's more empowering to users. But that definitely keeps me going back, like improving my own environment, and so helping others as well.
One thing that I've noticed even just with myself that's made me like contribute to different open source projects is like there's one thing that just like frustrates you, and you're like you refuse to change it for weeks because you're like no it's I don't have the time, I just whatever. But at a certain point it like really just pushes you over the edge, and you're like, oh my god, okay, this weekend I'm sitting down, I'm fixing
Not
it.
one more day.
I know, right? It's just like why have I put it off for so long? I agree. I think like just using the tools and like having it on a daily basis is such a great driver for you to like keep improving it, right? Because it's like I want it to work how I want it to work, and
exactly.
It's frustrating when that's not the case. Yeah. That was pretty much all of the questions that I had for you. Is there anything else that you wanted to share just with the audience?
No, that was great. Thank you very much.